What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about this week's episode of WWE SmackDown, and it was a pretty weird episode, but let's get into it. So, we had our usual superstars entering the arena and stuff that took up the first 5 minutes of the show, and we also had a recap of whatever went down at WrestlePalooza itself, and then we actually started off with Paul Heyman actually inside the ring to start off with. So we start off with Paul Heyman standing in the middle of the ring and cutting as a promo. But this is just the same thing that they're following each and every week, isn't it? On Raw and on SmackDown, we always seem to start off with a promo. When was the last time we actually got a match to start the show with? Like no talking at all, just two entrances, and then we get a match. I think it's been a very long time. WWE just stuck to this format now at this point. They just gotta start every episode with a promo. I'd prefer it if sometimes WWE just start off with an actual wrestling match or for a wrestling show, dude. But anyway, so Paul Heyman is in the ring and he's like, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Seth Rollins, the future of the industry and stuff. Then people start chanting OTC. So Paul Heyman's like, you want to talk about Tribal Chief or Roman Reigns? So he says that Braun Breaker is going to main event future WrestleManias and obviously lead the company into the 2030s and 2040s. And then he hints at talking about Brock Lesnar. But before we could know exactly what he was going to say, Cody Rhodes' music hits, he interrupts, and so Cody Rhodes comes out there. He does his 1.5, 2 minutes, I think 3 minutes entrance. So Cody Rhodes confronts Paul Heyman. He's like, "What's the deal with Brock Lesnar and shit? What's your association? What's going down?" And shit like that. But Paul Heyman doesn't really answer what the deal is. He only says that Brock Lesnar is not in on the episode of SmackDown today, and then BNB show up. So a brawl goes down between Cody Rhodes and BNB, and obviously because it's 2v1, BNB are destroying Cody Rhodes, and then we have Randy Orton who comes out to make the save. So Randy comes out and he helps Cody Rhodes, and I think he hits an RKO onto Bronson Reed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So BNB retreat with Paul Heyman, and that's the end of that segment. So Randy Orton doesn't really cut any promo. He doesn't get on the mic or anything. That's the segment right there. So are we gonna be seeing Randy and Cody versus BNB in the future? That I think that could happen. Maybe in a future episode of SmackDown, or maybe a PLE. Are they really gonna do this match on a SmackDown episode? I think they might push for a PLE, maybe whatever the PLE is after Crown Jewel, maybe a Saturday night main event. And then we had the Street Profits in a backstage segment. They were talking about how they're gonna, become the #1 contenders for the tag team titles and stuff. So we have the Street Profits versus Mello Don't Miss, which is basically Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. I thought the match was pretty decent. So the whole story of this match is whether The Miz and Carmelo can get along or not. They've been teasing this tension between them from a very long time. Instead, if they actually go on to win the tag titles, I think that that does something for both of them. Melo still hasn't won a championship yet in the main roster run. So winning a title with The Miz could be a great look for him. But we'll have to wait and see. They are most likely going to break the team apart, but we'll have to see. So the Street Profits win, and now they are apparently the new contenders for the tag team titles again, which is nothing new because they're going to go up against Wyatt Six. I think we've seen this already, haven't we? So the Wyatt Six show up near the announcement table. Both the teams have a stare off, and that's it. So the next segment was Julia and Kiana James versus B-Fab and Michin. This was an average match. Don't really have a lot to say about this. This was your mid-card women's tag team match. The crowd seemed pretty into the match, but it was average. You're not really missing much if you haven't watched that match. And also, I don't like how they're treating the United States Championship in the women's division. I don't really understand. I don't really get the point of introducing that title in the first place, because they do nothing with it at all. Did you know that the United States Championship, the women's in the United States Championship, has not been defended in a single PLE ever since it was introduced? So there you go. That's how much WWE cares about that title. And the champion is actually feuding with a mid-card tag team at the moment. She's not even defending the championship. There are no contenders for the championship. There are no storylines revolving around the championship. So it's just a waste, to be honest. I think it would have worked out if they had just introduced one mid-card title for women's division, maybe the Intercontinental Championship, and that could have been, for both the rosters. Maybe you could have done something with that. But they went ahead and introduced two titles, and now they're not doing much with either of them, to be honest. Becky Lynch has the Intercontinental Championship, and that's the only reason it seems like that title has at least a little bit of importance on Raw. But the United States Championship has really gone nowhere at all. I think when Chelsea Green had the title, it was great because she's really entertaining. I think she's one of the best women's wrestlers on SmackDown, at least. But then we gave it to Zelina Vega, and all she did was face the Secret Service, different people from the Secret Service for 3 to 4 months every week, and then it went nowhere. And then she lost it to Julia, and now Julia I don't think she's defended it against anybody so far, has she? So that's my little rant about how they're wasting the United States Championship in the women's division. But let's move on to the next segment. So then we had Drew McIntyre come out with a cast on his ankle, obviously because he hurt himself at WrestlePalooza trying to what's his move called? What's Drew McIntyre's move called? Why do I keep forgetting stuff like this on the video? Claymore. He tried to hit the Claymore on Cody Rhodes, but Rhodes moves out of the way, and so Drew McIntyre hurts his leg on the announcement table. So he's out there with a cast, and Drew does what he does all the time. He pulls out his excuses. But I think some of those excuses were pretty valid, because he was complaining about the referee in the match and how he screwed up Drew throughout the match. So the referee missed a pinfall. He took 10 seconds, I think, to get the pin started after Drew McIntyre hit a Claymore onto Cody Rhodes. And then he talks about how the referee got in the way of Drew McIntyre hitting the Claymore to Cody on the announcement table. So he just basically talks about how the referee screwed up the entire match for Drew. And he asks if the referees work for WWE or they work for Cody Rhodes. And then you have Adam Pearce, who comes out there and he confronts Drew, and he's like, don't make excuses and shit. You're better than that, blah, blah, blah. And also he hints at the fact that the cast that Drew is wearing on his leg did not come from the WWE medical personnel. So wait, did Drew just wrap his legs up in the cast himself? But yeah, anyway, Drew's like, the medical personnel also work for Cody Rhodes and shit, so I've got my own medical personnel and all that. So Adam Pearce has had enough of it, and he just walks away. So Drew just continues to, keep whining in the ring. It was pretty interesting to see Drew McIntyre talk about the corruption, because most of it was true. You can see how WWE is clearly not pushing other talent who deserve the spotlight. You usually see the same people at the top. You have your Cody Rhodes, your Rhea Ripley, Now you have Brock Lesnar who's back. Where's LA Knight? Why doesn't he get a push? LA Knight's been over for 3 years, man, and he just doesn't seem to get a push at all. I don't think LA Knight will ever get a push at this point. But if maybe WWE fans keep on pestering Triple H and we keep on demanding, just like the way we asked for AJ versus John Cena. I think if we push hard enough, WWE might do it. But otherwise, I don't think LA Knight has much hopes at this point. I mean, it's just not LA Knight, right? You have your Carmelo Hayes, who really hasn't done much ever since he's come into the main roster. They brought back Rusev and Aleister Black to the company, and they really haven't done much with them so far at all. So yeah, before Drew McIntyre could actually, spit more facts, he gets interrupted by Jacob Fatu. So that was weird. I like this. I like the idea of Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre. So Fatu enters the ring and he basically tells Drew to shut the hell up. And Drew, so he grabs the mic from Drew McIntyre and he's like, man, shut the hell up. And Drew grabs the mic back from Fatu and he's like, if I didn't have the cast on me right now, bro. And then Fatu grabs the mic back from Drew. So they're just having this like tug of war with the mic. Like, bro, somebody should have tossed another mic in there because those two were struggling with the one mic that they had. But anyway, I thought that was a little funny. But Fatu gets on the nerves of Drew and Drew hits him with a Glasgow kiss. And then Fatu super kicks him. And that's it. So we are obviously teasing Fatu versus Drew McIntyre. I like the idea of the match, but I don't like the fact that I already know that Drew McIntyre is just going to get buried by Fatu now. So then we have Sami Zayn talking to Dragon Lee in a backstage segment. And so Dragon Lee's asking Sami, so who's going to be the next person to take up the offer at the United States Open Challenge. And then we have a figure walking in the back. It's supposed to be like a shadow, but you can clearly tell it's Shinsuke Nakamura. So Nakamura is going to return, and I think he's going to feud with Sami Zayn. So in between the commercials, we had a segment from the MFD, and Solo Sikoa apparently kind of appoints JC Mateo as the enforcer of the group now. So that's, make of that what you will. So then we have Sami Zayn go out to the ring, and we have Javon Evans from NXT challenging Sami for the United States Championship. So this was actually a pretty good match. Javon Evans, if you don't really watch NXT, which I don't either, you got to see whatever he has to offer, and I think he's got a pretty good moveset, and the match was pretty entertaining, to be honest. And obviously, I never thought for a second that Javon was going to win the match, but it was a great show for him. So we had a great match. The crowd was really into it, and obviously Sami wins after a Aluva kick, and then a Blue Thunderbomb after the Aluva kick, which was again pretty different. And then he picks up the win, and then after the match, he shows respect for Javon Evans and he raises his hand. So then you get this backstage segment where Nia Jax is actually walking out to the ring, and then Chelsea Green approaches her and she's like, you want to join the Secret Service and be the Slagent? I don't know what that means, go figure. Nia Jax totally rips the paper off, and then she doesn't say anything really, she's just walking away. And then you have Stephanie Vaquer come up to Nia Jax. So you had this thing throughout the night where Stephanie is talking to each and every person that's going to take part in the triple threat match later on. So then we get the main event, the triple threat match, Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. And the match was pretty good actually until the finish. I don't know what the hell that finish was. The referee actually botches a pinfall. We'll talk about that, but the match itself was pretty great. And at one point, Jade Cargill was actually busted open, and it looked pretty pretty bad, dude. Like, she was bleeding from the top of her left eye, and there was a lot of blood, and it looked really bad. So I hope Jade is doing fine right now. But yeah, Nia Jax kind of pushes Jade into the steel steps, and I think that's where she cut herself open. So we had Jade Cargill hit Nia Jax with the Eye of the Storm, and you have Tiffany Stratton breaking up the pinfall there, and she pushes Jade Cargill out of the ring, and Tiffany's trying to pick up a pinfall there. So you can clearly see that both of Nia Jax's shoulders were on the mat, but the referee goes 1, 2, and then she's like, just stops there for no reason, and then she's like, oh, it's just 2, and then Nia Jax just realizes, oh, was I supposed to kick out? And so she kicks out, and that was so awkward. That particular spot right there where the referee botches, man, that is so messed up. Like, that was such a weird spot, and I don't know what they were supposed to do there. uh but yeah, Tiffany then just goes ahead and hits Nia Jax with the prettiest moonsault ever, and then she pins her clean. So I don't know, man. That was just such a weird ending to the match. It was such a botchy, messed up spot. Uh, it looked ugly, dude. It looked ugly as fuck. So Tiffany wins the match. Uh, okay. So at this point, I just feel like Tiffany's gonna hold on to the belt until WrestleMania. At that point, it's gonna be like what, a year and a half since she's won the title. I don't know why they want to keep it on her for such a long time. I think Jade should have won the title clean at uh, Night of Champions. So from the moment Tiffany actually debuted on the main roster, her whole storyline has been revolving around Nia Jax, and I'm just tired at this point, man. Can they not do anything new with this title, this reign at all? So after the win, we have Stephanie Vaquer make her entrance, obviously establishing their match for Crown Jewel. This whole thing with the Crown Jewel, with the ring and the humongous title is just ridiculous, isn't it? But look, I don't mind the fact that we get a champion versus champion match. It's that I think that's pretty interesting and unique. That's something different you can do once a year. Have your biggest champion from Raw and biggest champion from SmackDown go head to head to see who's the best. This year, I think it's a little bit interesting with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins going head to head, because they have so much history there. And if there was nothing with the Brock Lesnar thing to do with that storyline, I think it would have been very boring and very predictable, because no way you're letting Seth Rollins get a win over Cody Rhodes, right? But because Brock Lesnar is now in the picture, it's kind of interesting to see what they're going to do with that. Maybe it's a one-off thing where Paul Heyman is just, taking the assistance of Brock Lesnar to help Seth Rollins win the match. Or maybe they have a longer storyline. Maybe Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes for the championship. So that was SmackDown this week for you. It was a really weird episode with a very stupid main event with a very stupid, botchy, messed up spot. Yeah, I think the only good part of the show was Sami Zayn versus Javon Evans, which was a really good match. Apart from that, what was really even good? Melodon Miz versus Street Profits. I think that was decent, but yeah, the rest of the show was just pretty garbage, dude. So if I was to rate this show out of 10, I don't think it even qualifies for a 5 at this point. Maybe a 4 at max. That's only because of the Sami Zayn versus Javon Evans match. What the hell was that ending, dude, for the triple threat match? It was such a garbage spot, really. So that was my review of this week's episode of SmackDown, guys. And please like the video and share it with your buddies who watch wrestling and love wrestling. And comment down below what you thought about this episode. And yeah, that's about it. And please subscribe. And yeah, that's it. Peace.